Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Can you talk us through your new men who've arrived since we last spoke? I've got it down as Aaron, Hans and Wilson. Aaron in particular, I guess, will cause a lot of interest, bearing in mind it's his old club this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, for me, always extremely talented. I think crop of players we brought in. I think Aaron and Wilson are probably the younger ones that have a bright future. We have no doubt they will be really exciting players to watch for our fans and just for any neutral fan that likes good football players. And then in terms of Hannes, a little bit more senior, a little bit more experience, Belgian international, someone that's played European games and with the physicality that's required for the Premier League. So we're excited to welcome them.
Aaron keen to play this weekend, or are you going to have to rein him in a bit?
I would hope that they're all keen to play. Yeah, I would hope so.
Does it make your selection a little bit tricky? I mean, you've got a decent squad of players now.
I would love it to be as tricky as possible. I think we as a club embrace competition. I think we feel that this is the way that you get progress and development. And I've never trusted a player that is a standout number one to tell me, yeah, coach, I'm fine, I'm going to do well, I'm going to keep doing my best. Yeah, you will, but if you've got competition, you certainly will. And so that's what I think lives in the club, and the players are also really together and helping each other get better.
I know we ask you this every week, building up to the deadline, but have you nearly finished spending now?
It depends who is up to. If it's up to me, maybe not. But in the end, I think we've really been able to attract a lot of players that we thought were going to be really exciting for us to work with on the short term and on the long term, and with definitely growth everywhere within the club. But if we can add to it, I think we're not going to turn it down.
You talked about cohesion in the past. I mean, how quickly does this squad have to gel? Because the games are coming thick and fast now.
Yeah, but you can't talk yourself into cohesion. So it's a lot of work, a little bit more video analysis, a little bit more individual work, a little bit more of everything. But I think if the characters and the mentality is right, you can cut the time down a little bit for that. Cohesion to settle in. But in the end, whatever it is, we're embracing the next challenge. And if we win, we'll learn from it. If we lose, we'll learn from it. But the goal is certainly to be the best version of ourselves again.
Can I ask you about Villa, because they've had a good couple of weeks? Good win against Everton, really good win against Hibernian. What have you seen of them? What do you make of them?
They're an impressive squad. I think. You can see it's one of these squads who's settled in the Premier League a little bit now, and they've been able to have a few rounds of recruitment and as well a few rounds of developing their own players, and it's a robust team, athletic, good speed, definitely, worth being part of the discussion for that top 8 in England, which is of such a high standard, such a high level. And I think I've already gathered that there's not going to be any easy games for us this season, so kind of approach it the same way as I would any other game, and try and give ourselves a chance to win the game. That's what we want.
Just how important is that first win for you psychologically?
For me, I'm fine. With it, I think it'll come when it comes. But I don't think we have to think too much about it. Look, if you have the mindset that we have, and it's try and win every game, then really the only thing you focus on is the next game, and whatever happened in the past is not so important. It's the next game, and we'll prepare with everything we can to get the result at home.
And I know you may have touched on this in the past, but recently you had that spell with the England Rugby Union camp. What lessons, what things have you taken from that experience, and have you introduced any of that into your football training?
I think it just emphasizes again how it's an environment filled with very big, physical, imposing, but very humble people, very very friendly people. Just you can see that there's good people, good habits, good standards, and And in that sense, I hope I did get a little bit of a feeling that there are similarities with us. I don't think we're the superstars in this league at all, but I think we share the work rate. I think we share the bravery in the team and the desire to help each other, and that really transpires when you go and speak to the England lads. So yeah, look, I've got a reason to support them as well. The missus is English, the kids, I think, feel more English, unfortunately, for me. but so yeah, we've got the shirt at home, and we're looking forward to support them.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, Vincent.
Hi there. Hi.
How do you practically go about integrating that number of players? I know you did it last season, but I think it was 10
debuts. Season before and the season before that, yeah.
And how beneficial is not playing last weekend to that potentially?
Yeah, it was massive for us, definitely. So, look, we'll play the games we have to play, but at this moment in time, to have a little bit of more time, it's important for us. So we had a chance to stop the clock a little bit. But then in the end, when you've done the 2 weeks, I think you're eager to start again and see if you've made steps. I think the boys made a good account of themselves in the last game, and hopefully we get nearer results and I mean try and get results every game. So this would be a tremendous opportunity for us to make the next step.
I heard another manager this week say that his players were kind of getting up to speed and learning in competitive games, and that's really difficult. Is that something that you share? Is the time on the training pitch more important at the early stages?
No, I mean it makes sense. If you go and work for another radio station and you get thrown in front of players and everything, and meanwhile you've got to get to learn your colleagues and what they want you to ask and what the vibe is of that place, you know, you'll always be a better version, a better fit for that place after having done a few months, you know. And it's no different for players. So we've just, but in the end, it's also part of what we said. I think we had the choice to stand still, and then obviously you benefit a little bit more of a settled team, or to use the fact that we went to the Premier League to actually do what we need to do, in my opinion, and is to strengthen as much as we can, as early as we can. And you take a little bit of the pain in the beginning, and hopefully in the long term it pays off. But standing still, going from the Championship into the Premier League, it's not an exercise that would have worked well for us, you know, in terms of trying to grow and not just survive forever in the Premier League.
It seems unlikely that anyone would headhunt me for my performances here, but thank you. As far as the makeup of that squad is concerned, 23 and a half, I think the average age was for the opening game. Does that help? Are they more receptive, younger players, to new things?
I think it's still a mix. If you look throughout the entire squad, I think we have a mixed. I think in the end we try to look at the best available talent in the market. Age is a component, but it's not something that we put first and say like age. It's not this. We look at the talent of players, and a lot of those talents I think would have been inaccessible for us, you know, not so long ago, and to have them here, to have them amongst us, it's an important way for us. Like I said, we can either struggle for the next 10 years, or we can try and use this season to maybe struggle one season, but then make a leap forward soon after. You know, I think this is the kind of squad we have. We have a squad that can progress for a number of years. Like for us, it's 1 year where I think it's going to be no different than any of the teams that have just come up. But that would have been in any way, in whatever way we would have shaped the squad, it would have always been the same. You know, the first year is always a risky year, difficult year. But I think that looking past this year, and if you look at a cycle of 3 years, I mean, this team has got some real potential, and that's exciting, at least.
And you only lost one home league game last season. Is that the benchmark? Is that what you have to strive for, or do you have to recalibrate because you're in the Premier League?
We didn't lose one game because we said we only want to lose one. We lost one game because we tried to win every game, and then things happen, and probably the game we lost at home was a game we should have never lost. But okay, it's life, and therefore you can see how these moments stick. So, but therefore I think for us now, yes, it's a different league. I see the level in training is better than last season. I see that the boys that were the leading players last season are facing competition now, which means the squad is inevitably improved, and you see it in training. And as long as that basis is there, then I feel that we've given ourselves a chance to get to the levels required for the Premier League.
Thank you.
Hi, Vinny. With the sheer number of players that have come in, are there any worries about squad morale with the players who maybe play a big part in bringing the club up last season, being left out?
No, morale, no. I'm trying to explain as well as much as I can to now the Premier League media that it just doesn't happen. It's just not possible. Like, players can have a down day like everyone else, can have a bad moment, but no one makes any kind of progress in our team if they think that it's all about them, if they think that they've got to feel sorry for themselves. We'll be there for them, we'll push them, we'll try and give them everything they can to improve, but they've got to earn the spot. And it lives within the club, in the culture. So, okay, sometimes you have a tough time, it happens in life, and if you have the right surrounding, the right support, you get through it. And we try and be the right surrounding and the right support. If a player doesn't want that, then it's also fine. Then for us, it's clear.
You would have played Luton last week, but having missed that out, it's now a game, a more difficult one on paper against Villa. Would you have rather have played last week than having this time to spend on the training ground?
No, look, for me in the end, it like I said, it was important to, I don't know, in the end, more time for us on the grass was probably more valuable to, like, both, I think, team. So all the teams that got promoted, I would expect us to get better as the season goes. So Luton would be the same. I would expect Sheffield United, with players that they have to integrate, to be the same. So at the moment, really, it's for us to find our feet as quickly as we can, get points on the board. I'm not saying that every situation is the same, of course, but in general, I don't look. We'll play the game when it comes, and meanwhile, we did our best to prepare the team.
Yeah, and in the documentary that's come out, you sort of there were occasions where you laid into your players quite a bit, lost your rag maybe a few times. But has there been more of that this week, or after the City game, or has been a bit more calmer?
I think honestly, I'm actually a really, really calm, rational person. I usually deal with defeat and wins more calm than anyone I've ever met in that sense. The only thing I don't accept is if we go against our basics. If you don't work hard, you have a problem with me. If you make it about yourself and not the team, you have a problem with me. But in terms of making mistakes, and I tell our players, I'm convinced that we've got the next £100 million player in our team somewhere. I don't know which one, but there's going to be one of them that's going to make this jump. And I don't really look at mistakes as a bad thing if they're willing to be coachable. But if you don't want to be working hard, and if you don't want to improve, then within this club there's no future. And that's the only thing. So the basics, like you love everyone, but in the end, there's moments as a group where I think we have to be accountable, but these moments, they get highlighted in one moment, in one fragment, and it can get turned back out for many years. But in reality, it's how I am here is probably how I am to my players.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's kind of easy to see what gets me annoyed and what doesn't. Like they've thrown every question at me, and I've always batted them away because I really feel that it's not the point. But if my team doesn't work hard and don't reflect the people of Burnley, then what's my job if I'm not going to do anything about it?
We're only two games in, Vinny, so there's a long season ahead.
Thanks, John. Steve.
Vinny, good to see you again. You've had a while to reflect on that Man City game. What were you personally and your team able to take away from that experience overall? Yeah,
I'd probably say at this moment in time we've moved on quite quite a bit from this game. I think, there's a standout game there that's not the benchmark for this league. I don't think it's the highest of the highest, but I think for us, looking at Villa, we see a team that it's a different game, but it's a team that's got so many tools to actually, we have to be at our best level in every game in this league. There's no other way. So to look back at City, for me, it doesn't make any sense when I've got the toughest game again at the weekend, and that's how we're going to approach every game, really.
Naturally, players are very competitive, and rightly so. And despite it being the treble winners and so on, your players will no doubt be disappointed from simply a defeat.
Always.
Is one of your main challenges as a manager this season to ensure that players are still able to take positives from negative results? And if so, how do you go about doing that and ensuring your side's continued growth?
Yeah, I think my main thing, and again, after these games, I try and stay away from the, believe it or not, I try and completely stay away from the emotional side of things. For me, it's important to be supportive, to give them a framework to improve, and I really focus on that. So there's the things we want to do before the game, the things we did in the game, and we can always compare whether it was either the wrong ideas or the wrong execution. And I keep my players on that pathway to improve, because as we learned last year in the Championship, the worst thing that can happen is have this emotional roller coaster. You could win 4 in a row, but you could lose 4 in a row, but you can win 4 in a row, or 5 or 6 in a row. And when you have that momentum, then you have to protect it by, again, doing those basics even better. And it lives here, and the good thing is, still a large amount of players have gone through it at the start of last season with us. And I've gone through it in my career as a player and as a coach as well before I came to Burnley. And I know how we'll react in good moments and difficult moments. We'll just continue the path.
You face a Villa side full of threats, none more so potentially than Ollie Watkins.
Mm-hmm.
From a former centre-half's perspective, what advice do you give to your defenders to attempt to contain him?
It's different for everyone. I think in our case, I think we have to solve it as a team. It's not going to be about just the battle of one centre back against a good striker. It's going to be just a team solving problems or avoiding problems to happen. Obviously, I want to be respectful in saying as a centre back, there was a point where you're kind of looking forward to all sorts of challenges. It's not much else to say.
Finally, just given the work that you've put on the training ground, do you feel confident ahead of this one?
Always feel confident. At least we're prepared. At least I feel nervous if we haven't put in the work. I feel nervous if we have cut corners. But when we've done the whole, and there's still another day tomorrow, but if by tomorrow we've done the work and we've been committed and we've stayed together, then whatever happens, I'll be there for the team. We'll support and we'll feel like we've given ourselves the best chance. That's all we can do.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just before we go to the embargo, Ellie.
Yeah, shall I shout?
Yeah, go on, do it again.
Hi, Vinny.
Hi there.
How's Michael Obafemi getting on in his recovery?
Still some time away from being back. Obviously, it was an injury that happened for us at a very bad time, because it happened when he was on international break. So we had no control over it or anything. And we just had a player coming back, leaving fit, coming back injured. But meanwhile, I think he's making the best out of this situation to get back stronger.
Do you know yet when he might be available?
I don't like it. Long-term injuries, I don't like to put it. But let's put it this way: if you ask me the question next month, I'm probably going to have the same answer. Fair enough.
Yeah. And how big a miss is Anas Larori going to be over the next few games?
Yeah, look, a big miss, because he's been a key player for us. But I think it's part of what I said as well about all of our key players last season getting pushed. So I do want to see it as well as something for him to take away as a challenge, to use it to get ready, get better, and come and bring another boost to the team. So it is an interesting case because he has still so much growth in him, and he's never been exposed to this level of football. So these guys from experience as well, you see them changing in the first year, after the first year in the Premier League, during or after the first year in the Premier League. And I'm actually quite excited. If the mentality is right, which in his case is obviously really good, I'm actually quite excited to see these players transform and transition, being exposed to the highest level they've ever been exposed to.
And just team news-wise, is there anybody else unavailable?
I said the rule is if you bring something, I don't like lying, so I'm doing my best never to lie, unless Crabbers tell me to lie, and then I'm like, right. But I can kind of justify my say Crabbers told me I didn't have a choice. But in the end, if you tell me something, I'm going to try and tell you the truth as much as I can. Otherwise, you'll have to find out yourself.
Or just lie. Thank you.
I don't do lying. I don't want to.
We would never encourage lying, just for the record.